All right, let's talk about something that probably gives you a little bit of a high school chemistry flashback, lab safety. But listen, this isn't going to be just about memorizing a bunch of rules. We're going to dig into the mindset behind it all, a way of thinking that's designed to protect you and everyone else from dangers you might not even see.
So let me just ask you this. When you think about a science lab and what could go wrong, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Just take a second. I bet your imagination goes straight to the really dramatic stuff, doesn't it?
Right? We're all thinking of some big bubbling flask, maybe a fire or a mini explosion like you'd see in a movie. But the thing is, most lab accidents are, well, they're not that exciting. The real dangers are usually much quieter, way more subtle, and they tend to happen when we're least expecting it.
And that's exactly why our first step here is to really understand the anatomy of a hazard. We've got to know what we're actually looking for, because these things aren't just random freak accidents. Nope, they're almost always preventable.
You can pretty much split lab dangers into two big camps. On one side, you've got the obvious dangers. You know, broken glass, a puddle on the floor, maybe a small flame. We're all trained to see that stuff. But then, you've got the silent dangers. This is the tricky stuff, like chemical contamination on a surface that looks clean, invisible fumes, and honestly, the biggest one of all, human error. That's what happens when you're just a little too tired or distracted, and suddenly a routine task becomes a real risk.
So, okay, knowing the dangers is one thing, but what do we actually do about them? Well, that brings us to the safety code. And I don't want you to think of this as just a list of don'ts. Think of it more like a powerful, proven system that's your first and your best line of defense.
And here's the core of that code. These are totally non-negotiable. Goggles and a lab coat, that's your personal armor. No food or drink? Come on, that's a no-brainer. It keeps you from accidentally eating something you really shouldn't. Handling chemicals with respect, that's all about your mindset. And reporting everything, no matter how small, is absolutely critical. These aren't just rules, they're commitments you make the second you walk through that door.
And let's take proper disposal for a second. This is so much more than just tidying up. It's a very specific set of procedures. You know those special containers for chemicals or sharps or biowaste? They're there for a reason. They keep dangerous stuff out of our water, they keep people from getting cut, and they protect the entire environment. It's a whole system.
Okay, rules on paper are one thing, but safety really comes to life when you have to think on your feet, in the moment. So, let's just run through a couple of quick scenarios and see how this all plays out in the real world. So, picture it. You're in the lab, you're focused, and then crash. That sound we all know. A glass beaker is shattered all over the floor. Now, your first instinct might be to grab a broom and start cleaning it up, right? But what is your actual first move? The very first thing you do is stop. Just freeze. Don't be a hero. It's not your job to clean it. Your job is to alert your instructor right away. Let the expert handle it. Then, your final job is to clear the area. Make sure no one else walks through the mess. Just remember, stop, alert, clear. So simple, but so effective.
All right, let's do one more. This one's a little more personal. You're carefully working with a chemical, and a tiny bit splashes on the back of your hand. It doesn't really even sting. What do, right at this very second?
This is a two-step process, and both are absolutely critical. First, wash. Immediately. Get to a sink or a safety shower and just rinse that spot with tons of cool water. Don't wait. Second, report. Tell your instructor what happened. Even if you think it's nothing, they need to know what you were exposed to. Remember, reporting isn't about getting in trouble, it's about being safe. So we've covered the hazards, the rules, and how to act in the moment. But what's the one thing that connects all of this? What's your single most important, your ultimate safety tool? Look, all those rules we just talked about, the goggles, the reporting, the proper disposal, they are absolutely essential. Think of them like a map that helps you navigate the lab safely. But you know what? A map by itself isn't the most important tool for any journey. And there it is. Your best piece of safety equipment isn't the goggles or the lab coat. It's your own focused attention. It's being present. It's being aware of what you're doing and what's going on around you. Every single rule we have depends on you paying attention. That is your ultimate safety tool. So in the end, safety isn't just about following a checklist in the lab. It's a mindset. It's a way of being aware. And that kind of makes you wonder, how can you take that same focus, that same awareness, and apply it to other parts of your life? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.